Whenever we have the opportunity to feature people making their mark in the world of sports, I relish the time spent being able to talk to those people. Well, today I have the opportunity to chat with two of the three co-founders of Vanguard Maven Group, a marketing and creative consulting agency focused on sports, entertainment, and culture. Joining me in studio to talk about VMG and so much more are the co-founders, Nicole West and Jadan Randolph. Ladies, how you doing?
Hey, Dexter, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
Jadan, how are you?
We're great as well.
Great. I'm great. I'm so excited about this new venture for you guys. You just launched. I know it's exciting times. I see the smiles on your faces, and we have to tell the people all about it. So let's get right into it. Nicole, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Because what inspired the creation of Vanguard Maven Group? What was the thought process behind the name Vanguard Maven Group? And how did you envision this all from the start?
Well, I'd love to say, we just sat down one day and we're like, this is going to be the vision. We were sitting in our fellow co-founder's kitchen, Danita, and we were talking about sort of what's the next move? Where are we going from here? We had just finished working together at a previous agency that we helped grow and get to a private equity acquisition. And we're very much like, what's the next move? And somebody overheard us as we were bantering and said, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Like, why aren't you just starting your own agency? And it was, a little bit of the record scratcher, mic drop, moment where we were like, yeah, we should do that. And not too shortly after that, we started pulling Jadan into hey, can you help us do this? And hey, can you help us do that? And one day we had the conversation, we were just like, she needs to be our co-founder in this, because what we're building and where we're going, to be able to have, one, her mind and what she brings to the table, but also somebody who is Gen Z, who is living in the world and doing all of the things that every other agency and group out here is trying to figure out. And she teaches us on a daily basis. So yeah, that's kind of how it came to be. And then the name. Yeah. We're different, I think, in so many different ways. We show up differently. And so our name needed to represent that. And Vanguard is somebody who's very much out there at the forefront, sort of leading groups. And mavens are, connoisseurs and experts in their space. And so we felt like the perfect combination was to bring those two together, because what we want to do is be able to help brands connect with consumers and fans in a meaningful way, and do that in a way in which they are leading, and do that in a way that, we can bring our expertise to the table. And so, and it's just kind of, it's very badass, if I can say that.
You can say that.
It's very badass.
That is fine. It is your group. It is your company. It should be badass indeed. And I found it so interesting in the story that Jadan is the one that kind of shed the light for you to be like, hey, you should do this. Yeah. I just want to follow up on that. Before Jadan said that, had you thought about that as a possibility at all?
So, true, transparency, probably since maybe over the past 5 years or so, Danita and I have talked back and forth, even not before she and I had worked together. She would always say to me, you really should think about doing your own thing. And probably more forcefully than I'm saying it here. But she's been like, you should really think about going out, trying and doing your own thing. Because I have worked in corporate for a good majority of my career. So it wasn't the first time it had been thought about, but I think in that setting and in that time frame, it wasn't necessarily the immediate thought. But Jadan kind of just brought it home and was like, why are we even talking about this, guys? This is what you should be doing. And little did she know that was going to be the beginning of the end for her. She pulled her right in.
Yeah, well, beginning of the end, but obviously we're joking, beginning of something beautiful here. And Jadan, that brings me to you, since you are sort of the person that spearheaded this almost in a way, lit the fire, you should say, to get this done. You're a young entrepreneur. You're in this space, and you're the co-founder here of VMG. What unique challenges and advantages do you think that Gen Z leaders like yourself bring to the table in terms of the future of shaping sports, entertainment, and culture, which VMG is a part of?
I mean, I would say that pretty much every Gen Z leader is probably going through the same thing, where they're stereotyped as being lazy in the workspace. So I'd say that's probably one of my greatest challenges is just surpassing that stereotype, and just showing that we have something to say and we're willing to work hard for it. We're not just expecting it overnight. And I think with social media, there are a lot of Gen Zers out there that expect it overnight, but I would say that it's not all of us, right? And so I just want to be a representation, to show that we're willing to go after what we want, and people should almost value our opinions a bit more, right? And so I think when you ask about advantages, right, one of the advantages that VMG has in having me as a co-founder is that I know what will connect with my audience, right? And just me being a consumer as well of so much social media, I'm not gonna lie, obviously we're on our phones all the time. I know what sparks, what connects, what hits, and how to build that community online. So I'm very much a digital first, and I like to teach my my partners about technology and how we can integrate that in everything that we do. So yeah.
Daily.
Pretty much.
Daily.
Yeah, daily.
Minute by minute.
Minute by
Pretty
minute.
much.
That's the thing, and you and I were talking about this a bit before we started recording, right? Like the value that you can see just in companies right now, whether it's in sports, whether it's in anything, is that young people do have something to say.
Yeah.
They do have something to bring to the table, especially in areas around social and how that connects with sports. And so I'm rooting for you. I'm hoping that you can break that stereotype that's out there. Hey, everybody, you don't have to stereotype like that. You don't have to do that.
That's right.
Nicole, I want to bring it back to you for a second. Excuse me, because I think you would agree with me that you're somebody you have a lot of experience. You've been doing this around sports and entertainment for a long time. I'm not calling.
I was going to say, are you
yeah. I saw your eyes there. I'm like, I'm
How
not.
old am
I was not calling Nicole old. That is not what I was doing. She is very experienced.
Youthful.
Youthful experience. Thank
Youthful,
you. Thank
yes.
you. Thank you, Jadan.
Yes.
I appreciate your insist on that. I really appreciate that. But I think you would agree with me that your experience should shape how you move forward with things in your career. I think that applies for all of us. Mm-hmm. You've had a decorated career in sports and entertainment. How did your previous roles, where you worked at places like USTA, Madison Square Garden, how did that impact and shape your vision for VMG?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right, Dexter. Like everything you do, be it your professional career or your, life experiences, all shapes that next, chapter and space that you come to and what that looks like. I've been in the industry over 25 years now, so sports, entertainment, media, and I've had the privilege and honor of working with some of the biggest and best brands. I feel like I've had the opportunity to sort of experience what it is to work for the small startup and for the big behemoth company, and sort of see all the advantages and disadvantages that's come with those. And in that, I think what I've been able to sort of bring and hopefully bring to my co-founders is one, just the experience of what it takes to grow something. I've always loved and gravitated towards that. And so be it, when I was with the USTA and I was working and managing and overseeing sort of the US Open and the marketing for that, and then shifted into a brand new role of digital partnerships. And that was something that had never been done before. And so I had to create a team and had to help, sort of build out what that was going to be. And it was the first time I also had a P&L that I had to deliver against. Mm-hmm. And so getting that opportunity to do that in a very established company and brand, but actually still having to make sure that I was growing something that, was very startup within the company. And so I think taking that and applying that and those learnings to this, and sort of how you go about sort of bringing something new to the market in a way that maybe people aren't as familiar with. And I would say the same would be true for my time at Legends. Legends was another great example of, although we were, had great ownership by, Cowboys and Yankees and had sort of this very established company, we were still very startup. We were still, sort of bootstrapping our way through a lot of what we were trying to build in the early days. And we were building new verticals. And every time you built a new vertical, it was like building a whole new business. And so I apply those learnings to what we do at VMG, and try to bring that sort of knowledge to the table, but also bring the knowledge of like the established companies and go, okay, this is their expectations. I know what they're looking for. I know what they're expecting from the agencies because I used to be on the other side of it, right? And I was the client. And so I try to bring that to the table, and we collectively, I think all of us bring that to the table, in that, Jadan, Danita, both entrepreneurs, both, having experience building something from scratch and building it up to be something successful. And so we all try to apply that in everything we do. And then we also try to like not let that hold us back, because we don't want to be hindered by, I have to do it this way because that's the way the industry does it, or I have to do it this way because that's the way everybody does it. We want to do it so that, we're breaking the barriers and pushing past sort of the molds of how it's always been done. But with the knowledge and understanding of like, this is the set of expectations that people have.
Yeah, having that experience is so important for you guys moving forward. Jadan, I want to ask you this, because when I've looked at some of your stuff, VMG is described as more than just a marketing agency, right? In your view, what sets VMG apart from traditional agencies? Because somebody's looking at this, that's what they're going to know. Okay, why is VMG different? What sets it apart from traditional agencies?
Yeah, so what's funny is that we actually try to stray away from the word marketing. At the end of the day, like, we're just trying to help you drive revenue, right? So however, whatever word you want to put on it, great, but we're just here to sort of partner with our clients, right? So we're more than an agency, because other agencies, they tend to engage with their clients in a fashion that's short term, right? And so the way that VMG engages with our clients, I should say, is that we look at it from more of a partner perspective, and we're here for the long-term success, and we build brand IP with them that can be co-owned, or even, if they don't want it, right? And we have these great ideas, we'll go and take it to market ourselves, right? So we have all these wonderful ideas that we want to bring to the world, right? So that's something that kind of like changes the game for us, right? We're not looking at it from a campaign retainer-based, project-based revenue model, I guess you could say. So yeah, VMG is more of a long-term strategist company, if anything.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they look at marketing companies, I think even just people from the outside looking in, think about it in just the short term.
Yeah.
Right? All right, got your client. Can you bring them back again? Can you rinse and repeat?
Yeah.
Can you do that? And if you can keep them for a certain period of time, great. That's great. But you guys are thinking more long term, and I appreciate that you're able to explain that difference. Nicole, could you talk to me about the challenges and opportunities in sports marketing today? I know we don't want to use marketing or that word all the time,
Yeah.
but within that, and just, I'm sure you guys have looked at this, seen the challenges, and then how is VMG poised to address those challenges that might be in the space today?
Well, I'd say one is, and Jadan pointed it out, is the word marketing has become a little bit of a dirty word in the industry. And we've had conversation after conversation with everyone from owners to presidents and CMOs and CROs in the business, and a lot of what you're hearing is like, they don't want to put dollars behind marketing, right? They're not looking to add to their marketing budget. They don't necessarily. You might have somebody who says, I don't believe in marketing, right? I don't believe that that's going to move the needle. Or if I'm sold out, what do I need to do marketing for, right? And so a lot of our work is not just about, providing services like strategy and storytelling. A lot of it is also counsel. And so a lot of times we are going in and counseling leaders and executives and saying, okay, remove marketing from your vocabulary if that's the challenge in your specific, situation, and talk about revenue, and talk about driving revenue, and talk about how storytelling is going to help make you culturally relevant. And if you're culturally relevant, then that's going to drive revenue, right? And that's going to get people who want to partner with you or sponsor with you. And so this is cyclical. You can go back and you can say it in sports or in advertising, branding, media, pick any of the industries. And you go through these cycles where people say like, oh, it's not cool to talk about marketing anymore, so we're going to now talk about communications. Or, you know what we should do? We should put the communications person and the marketing person and combine those jobs, and now you have CMCOs, right? Like, and so, no, we don't want to be CMOs anymore. We want to be chief brand officers. So it's just sort of a constant evolution of like, what's the trending position in the industry to be like, it's in, it's out, we want to talk about it, we don't, it's important, it's not important. But you see companies who, you know, maybe they do away with the chief brand officer or the marketer or the person who is driving creative thinking and storytelling. And, you know, all of a sudden your sales drop. Certain apparel company just went through this, right, in the sports landscape. And their sales went off. And they were like, we see the challenge and the problem. We've got to bring that back. Consumers and fans and people care about that. And so call it what you want. Right. In our world, we focus on driving revenue. And driving revenue comes from different landscapes.
I'm sorry to cut you off, because that is, and you mentioned this too, Jadan, right? Like that is the bottom line. And this is what these brands, companies, teams, whatever that you guys are dealing with as clients, this is what they care about at the end of the day, right? So bringing it back to that and how you can have them accomplish that goal is kind of what matters here.
Yeah, and we do something in our world, we call it ROI squared. And so whenever we're talking with any of our partners, we say to them, look, we're here to bring, you know, not just a return on investment, but also a return on impact. And so for us, that can mean a multitude of things. But if you're not connecting and impacting the communities who are believing in you or who are brand loyalists, then you're missing. And so we really believe those two go hand in hand.
I like that. ROI squared. I like that a lot there. Jadan, I want to talk to you about a term that Nicole just brought up, and we hear it a bunch today, right? Cultural relevance. You hear that, right, among brands. What do you think sports teams and leagues need today to stay culturally relevant? Because a lot of, you hear it, the word is kind of just thrown out there.
Buzzing.
It's a buzzword, if you want to say, right? I want to be culturally relevant. So what do teams, brands need around sports, and how can VMG assist in achieving that?
So it's funny, we talk about this all the time, right? And so these teams, these leagues, you know, they're trying to connect with their fans, and they're doing it in a way that I associate with like almost like a love bombing tactic. It's like, let's say everything they want to hear, let's pander to them. But they're not really embracing the diversity of the fans that they do have, right? And so they're almost attacking it as if there's this monolith, right? And not, you know, being dynamic in the way that they approach these audiences, right? And so it just takes inclusive, I would say, narratives, right? That are also not seen as pandering, something that's authentic. And so that's what VMG can bring with just our strategy and storytelling skills, right? So if you're looking for that, partner with us.
Here we are.
We're right here.
I find it interesting that you said that too, because I was recently having a conversation with somebody about this. I'm not even going to say the sports league, but about a particular sports league and the way stories are talked about, even among people like myself within the media, that seems to just be monolithic, right? Like the same, and it becomes exhausting. And somebody asked me, well, like, what's the solution to that? And I said, well, I think some of it is on the leagues themselves help with what you guys do, right? Which talk about, this is what the storytelling is going to be around this league. This is how we're going to talk about things. This is how we're going to maybe get away from this one narrative that might be negative to move over here. So, league, you probably know what I'm talking about. VMG. You can reach out to them. A couple more things for you guys. Nicole, for me, when I looked at what you guys are doing, it's not lost on me that VMG is a group, a company founded by 3 women, specifically 3 black women. As someone, I know you for a little bit, you're very passionate about leadership. How does VMG aim to uplift and support women in sports and entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, you know, we came together not because we're black women, not because we're women. We came together because we were like, we see a gap in the market, and we see the skills and the experience and the background that we have where we could bring something new and different. And we were very clear about that. All that being said, you know, you can just look at us and say like, oh, okay, right? Like,
Right.
And, you know, we have, I think Jadan talking earlier about consumers and fans are not monolithic. Like, so are we, right? Like,
Right.
I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Black, I'm Peruvian, right? Like Native American, German. And that's like, we haven't even finished, and that's just the three co-founders, right? So like our backgrounds and experience are so diverse and unique. And so I think oftentimes we just sort of paint a brush over it and say like, okay, it's three Black women and they're, you know, showing up this way. And it is important, and we believe representation is important, and we believe that we need to have more diverse people running their own companies and founding their own companies and leading in leadership positions across the sports and entertainment and media industries, without a doubt. But I also think oftentimes what comes with that, and you'll forgive me because I'm going to get on a soapbox for a second, but what will happen is people will assume that the work you get, the opportunities that come your way are because of that. And that's where they're wrong. And that's where they fall short. And it's maybe something that, you know, is a bias that is an unconscious bias. But oftentimes you will hear, and I recently had this conversation, where a colleague and someone I consider, you know, a friend in the business was asking about the business. How's it going? How's everything? Excited for you? And I was like, great. And things were going great. Sharing about where we are, what we're doing. And the question came up of, so a lot of the clients and work you're getting, is it because of the diversity? And I have to say, like, that to me shows that we have so much further to go. Because instead of, I don't know, the 25 years of experience working in sports and entertainment, the brands that I've worked with, the experiences and events that are world class that I've been part of or helped put together, or launching, I don't know, LA 28 as a brand, those weren't the things that were why we got the business. But it was assumed that it was something to do with the fact that we are Black or women. And so I just would say, like, recognizing the talent, recognizing the experience, recognizing the work that we've put in. She's a biomedical engineer, right? So the level of depth, the layers of depth that come, it doesn't just stop here, right? And so I think as an industries, we have a lot of work to do there.
That was a fantastic response, and I'm glad you spoke on that, and I'm glad you said all that about the skill set that the three of you possess in terms of your group. What I find interesting, and sorry you had to deal with that comment or question without looking at the skills that all of you brought to the table, was if that was the case, if it was the case that diversity was helping so many companies like you guys and what you're doing, then you would see a bunch of Black women out there just thriving. There'd be a whole bunch of VMGs, but that's not the case. We know the reason why for those things. So appreciate your answer. That was a fantastic answer. Got one more thing for both of you before you get out of here, and I appreciate your time. But what would you say? What's your long-term vision for VMG and its impact on sports, entertainment, and culture? This is the space where you guys are in. You want to thrive. I'm rooting for you to thrive. What's the long-term vision for VMG? Jadan, I'll start with you first.
It's funny because I feel like we're going to say the same thing. We kind of share a brain, the three of us.
You should be on the same.
Yeah, we all
We're on the same
share
wave.
the brain, right? So, but our long-term goal is just to be able to transform these industries so that they can become more inclusive, and that, you know, these teams and leagues can have, you know, language that does connect with their audiences and things like that. So we kind of want to shy away from that, the pander bear, as I call it. They've been pandering quite a bit. So we want to help them out and make it where it feels organic and like, you know, everybody belongs. So yeah, that's our long-term vision.
Yeah.
I like that vision. Anything you want to add to that vision?
I mean, she usually just sums it all up perfectly. So I think she did. The only thing I'd say is, like, look, we believe that we need to reflect the communities we serve.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's for everybody. That's for brands, that's for agencies, that's for leagues, teams, properties. We need to better reflect the communities we serve. And so if it's a consumer, if it's a fan, if it's, you know, the folks who are your brand loyalists, like, how do we make sure we're better reflecting that? And, you know, our mission and goal is to make sure that, you know, VMG is not monolithic. And, you know, the team that we're building, we welcome all backgrounds, experiences, because we actually need that. We need that to be able to make sure that we are reflecting the communities. And so there's not any one answer. And if we can all be open and be more inclusive, like Jadan said, then we'll get better at that. And so our goal and job is to help these groups get better.
Hey, that is a great goal. We want to see that around sports, entertainment, and culture. And if you're part of one of those groups, you're looking to get better, the VMG, that is the place to be. That is Nicole Jeter West, joined also by the great Jadan, who made this all happen. Jadan, I got it, Jadan Randolph. You're the one who made it happen. They put respect to your name. I just want everybody else to put respect on the name. Ladies, I got to thank you both for coming here, talking to me about VMG. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best of luck in the future. And I have a feeling with the work you're doing, you'll be back up here talking with me.
We'll love it. We'll be back.
So, no problem. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.